The following is a live presentation of Retro Sports Network, home of the champions of the past, present, and or future. Good morning, afternoon, evening. My name is Ron Chuckett. Welcome to the program for this Monday, the 29th of September 2025, and the second of our four first-round series gets underway from a rainy day in New York. Yankee Stadium, where the 49 New York Yankees, who I believe, what year did we do that? 21? The only World Series that we got exactly right. They beat the Dodgers in 5 games, including the last 3 at Ebbets Field, I believe. We'll take on the 82 Expos, the 2019, the first year, the first time that this team has been unearthed since they won in 2019. The Yankees feature Joe DiMaggio, Yogi Berra. That's a pretty good thing. The Expos feature Tim Raines, Gary Carter, and Andre Dawson. Expos won their World Series in 6 over the Baltimore Orioles. They beat the Dodgers to get to the World Series in the NLCS, and Steve Rogers was the original House of Tudor. I believe Rogers won 20-some-odd games in the regular season, and then steamrolled in that best of 5. I believe the Expos swept. Anyway, the winner of this series gets the Dodgers, the 78 version, because if you weren't with us for yesterday's game, oh my goodness gracious, the 85 St. Louis Cardinals are a snake-bit team. Anyway, so the 78 Dodgers have moved on, and they await the winner of this series, which starts in a moment. It is Steve Rogers and Vic Raschi in what should be a stretch for the game engine. Next on Retro Sports Network. As Retro Sports Network presents the RSN Greatest Hits Tour. Today, Game 1 from Yankee Stadium in the Bronx. It is the 1949 New York Yankees, I believe our 2021 champions, versus the original, the OG, 7 years ago champion, the 1982 Montreal Expos. And today's game is brought to you by DigitalAndIce.com, the best darn podcast on the web for your sports simulation and replay needs. Find Dave and his guests on Spotify, Spreaker, iTunes, or wherever else fine podcasts are listed. So it will be Vic Raschi pitching in a version of Yankee Stadium that he might not be too familiar with, versus the Montreal Expos, who played in this park. Actually, it was what? It was not David Cohn, David Wells, who threw the perfect game against Montreal, right in the late 90s. How you doing, Greg? Even when Vince Coleman doesn't get gobbled up by the tarp. I'm telling you, wasn't necessarily that or Don Denkinger. It was the bullpen in Game 2, and Danny Cox, and I forgot to change it for the outcome box, and Danny Cox just melting, and Jack Clark melting down yesterday. Just absolutely incredible. Vic Raschi is going to be typical of what this team is going to be kind of struggling with in this tournament. We'll get to that in a second. He went 21-10 in 49, a 3.34 ERA, 37 starts. He finished 21 of them. 30 years old, the Springfield Rifle, fastball at 85, and a standard pitcher. However, he threw 274 2/3, 247 hits, 16 home runs. He walked 138. And struck out 124. Thing is, when you throw that many innings, you are a pitch-to-contact pitcher. And the Yankees' defense, well, they're okay. With the exception of Jerry Coleman, they're actually very good up on the left side. So, when you put the ball in the play and maybe keep it on the ground, you can get into double plays. Here's the Expos lineup for you. We are using a DH. Tim Raines in left will lead it off. Al Oliver at first. Not a bad first baseman defensively. That's why he's actually playing first. He'll bat second. Gary Carter behind the plate goes third. Andre Dawson cleans up in center. Tim Wallach at third will bat fifth. Warren Cromartie in right will bat sixth. Chris Spire at short goes seventh. Jerry White, the DH. The Expos really didn't have anybody a utility player off the bench, so it'll be Jerry White. He's a DH batting 8th. I believe that's who we use in that World Series, too. And Doug Flynn at second, batting 9th. Rashi can give you 145 pitches. Greg is a Cardinal fan, and he's seen them win a few times. Defensively for the Yankees, Gene Woodling a 3 and a 3 in left. Jolton Joe DiMaggio a 10 and an 8 in center. Tommy Henrik is a 3 and a 5 in right. Bobby Brown a 4 at third. That's Dr. Bobby Brown to you. Phil Rizzuto a 10 and a 9 at short. Jerry Coleman a 4 and a 7 at second. Billy Johnson a 2 at first. Yogi Berra a 10 and a 10 behind the plate. And Rashi an 8 on the mound with a .985 fielding percentage. So that's the setup for you. Timmy Raines at 277, 4 homers, and 43 RBI. Game 2 Wednesday in Montreal, and should we need a Game 3, back here in New York on Thursday, and that will be the first half of this tournament. Pitch to Raines, struck him out. Rashi got him to chase a 2-2 curveball, one away. For Al Oliver, Al at 331, 22 homers, and 109 RBI. If the 85 Blue Jays had won, Al would be in this tournament twice. I believe Yogi's here twice. Hank Bauer, who is the DH today for the Yankees, is in this tournament twice. That may be it. No, Rizzuto's technically on the 56 Yankees, too. You did feel for the Cubs, White Sox, and Red Sox fans, though. That is awful sweet of you. You know, the good thing is all 3 of those franchises have won a World Series. Pitch to Oliver. Al has a base hit into right center field. Henrik will throw it back in. I'm sure there's a couple others I'm missing from that 82, 85, 88 stretch because it's only 3 teams in 6 years. Gary Carter at 293, 29 homers and 97 RBI. Rashi deals, Carter swings, right center field. Back goes Henrik, way back there, and it's 2-0 Montreal. Carter has homered. And there's a bunch of Mets fans who are not in a good mood today, I can guarantee you that, up in the upper deck in right field who are quietly applauding that. No, they're not. They're being rather loud and obnoxious. They have Bethpage black tags on their hats, too. So Carter put that one out in the right center bleachers, and it's 2-0 Montreal before the Yankees can get to the plate. Sean rooting for the Yankees, despite being a Canuck, you're not cheering for the Expo. Here's Andre Dawson at 301, 23 homers, and 83 RBI. Speaking of the Red Sox, first time the Yankees and Red Sox met in the playoffs was in 1999. This year will be the 6th time in the last 26 years that those two earnest franchises have met in baseball's postseason. The only time you actually cheered for the Red Sox against the Cardinals is when the Red Sox, when they finally, 2004. Yep. Pitch to Dawson. Struck him out. Rashi is fan, too. For Timmy Wallach at 268, 28 homers, and 97 RBI. As we said in the open, the winner of this series gets the 78 Dodgers. I didn't watch any of the Ryder Cup. Yeah, and the fans were horrible. Rashi strikes out the side and gives up the 2-run homer to Gary Carter. 2 runs, 2 hits, no errors. I would think on paper the Yankees are the better team, but Montreal, they won the NLCS. They beat up on the Dodgers, and they beat the Orioles in the World Series. So they deserved it after half an inning, 2-0 Expos. And one of the reasons why they did so well was who's on the mound, Steve Rogers. He's 32. Fastball at 86 and a ground ball pitcher on the tail end of his career. Although he didn't know it then. 19-8, an earned run average at 240. Started 35 games, 277 innings, 245 hits. His whip's a lot better than Vic Raschi. 12 home runs. He walked 65 and struck out 179. Phil Rizzuto will lead off for the Yankees at short. Gene Woodling in left will bat second. Joe DiMaggio is in center field. He'll go third, the greatest hitter who ever lived. Tommy Henrich in right will clean up. Yogi Berra at behind the plate will bat fifth. Hank Bauer gets the DH, so Berra and Bauer will get two teams in the tournament. Bobby Brown at third, batting seventh. Jerry Coleman actually is on both those teams. He'll play second and bat eighth. And Billy Johnson at first will bat ninth. Rogers can give you 130 pitches. Timmy Wallach is 7 at third. Chris Spire, a 6 and a 7 at short. Dougie Flynn, good defender, an 8 and a 6 at second. Al Oliver, a 6 at first. Timmy Raines, a 4 and a 4 in left. Andre Dawson, a 10 and a 5 in center. Cromartie, the best outfielder defensively. He's a 7 and a 9. Gary Carter, a 10 and a 7 behind the plate. Rogers, an 8 on the mound with a .983 fielding percentage. Being Canadian but of Scottish and Ukrainian heritage, I tend to lead towards the Euros. Big fan of Justin Thomas, though. You know, the weird thing about golf, Phil Rizzuto, by the way, at 275, 5 homers and 65 RBI. He scored 110 runs for New York in 49. He walked 72 times and struck out 34. Golf is such an individual sport that when it comes time for these team events, it's hard to learn how to play together. And the Europeans have made a history since it was no longer the UK and Ireland in making sure the Americans were put in their place. Pitch to Rizzuto. There's a fly ball, shallow left field. Raines coming in will make the catch, and that's how this one starts for the Yankees. Gene Woodling only was a part-time player for New York, has great speed, however, hitting 275 homers and 44 RBI. Yes, Nicholas is the best ever. 19 second-place finishes in majors. There is a ground ball past Oliver down the line. Cromartie has to wait for it. 297 down the line. And Woodling is into second with a stand-up double. Oliver has DH written all over him, but there isn't really anyone else that can play first base, so Oliver will be in the field. How you doing, Andy? Here's DiMaggio at 346, 14 homers and 67 RBI. He only played half a year, too. He had, remember we talking about this, bone spurs? He missed a lot of time in 49. Todd, thanks. That was fun. I'm so glad you suggested this. Todd B. is responsible for this tournament, by the way. And he won 10 senior majors and stopped playing. Yep. There's a fly ball center field. Dawson will make the catch for the out. And Woodling will go. Why not? A throw to Wallach, and Woodling is in there. So here's Henrich, 287, 24 homers, and 85 RBI. Yeah, that was fun yesterday, Todd. My goodness. Rogers deals. Fly ball, center field. Dawson, second verse will be the same as the first, and that will do. Yankees get a hit and leave on a runner. We go to the second in Game 1. Montreal 2, New York nothing. How you doing, Paul? Yeah, Cleveland's in the playoffs. Detroit got in. In fact, they play in the first round. It'll be Cromartie, Spire, and Jerry White to face Raschi here in the second. Warren at 254, 14 homers, and 62 RBI. Right field, Henrich going back, but will make the grab. 1 out. So Wednesday will be Game 2 in Montreal, and then we will see if we need a Game 3. Chris Spire at 257, 7 homers and 60 RBI. Ricky Keeler, how are you? Yeah, Bob Carpenter retiring yesterday after. Was he there from day one, Ricky? You know, all new franchises need a cheerleader. And Bob Carpenter, although he grew up, he was broadcaster for the Cardinals and ESPN, grew to love that team. And I'm glad that he got to go out on his own terms, got to call a World Series winner in 2019. Wasn't one of my favorite announcers, but again, when you are trying to sell a new team to a new market, I mean, you had those who were Senators fans from when Washington had baseball before, but when you're trying to sell it, Carpenter did a great job in selling the Nationals to a new generation of people. Pitch to Spire, ball 4. See how now, this will be very curious how 49 and the walks handle more modern, and I say that as a relative term, hitting. Jerry White at 243, 2 homers and 13 RBI. He was there from day one. Got the booth named after him. Paul, you got to go back and watch one of the great collapses in Retro Sports Network history. Sunday night, a play to Crow was needed for Tim on July 5th. Tim put up a Facebook post stating that yesterday would be the continuation of the World Series drought. Well, you haven't won it yet. There are 3 teams in the baseball playoffs that have never won a World Series. Pitch to White, walked him. So Carpenter was, to get back to the point of Bob Carpenter, great for the franchise, especially one that took a long time to adapt to the city. And I hope he has a long and healthy retirement. So 2 walks in the inning. Here's Doug Flynn. Doug at 244, 2 triples and 20 RBI. And one, that's true. The only bigger collapse was the one on my head. That is true, Todd. One team that's never been to a World Series. Fly ball, right field. Henrik will come in and make the catch. Is it Henrik or Henrich? The Floby. That was, yeah. Real time. Crazy. Here's Timmy Raines. He struck out his first time up. Rashi struck out the side in the first. 42 pitches for his opening 9, inning and 2/3. 2 hits. The home run to Gary Carter. He has walked 2 and struck out 3. Slow chopper to Rashi. First base side. Over to Johnson for the out. And that'll do. Expos leave on 2. That's how the Yankees will do this. They'll put runners on and able to not have them score. After an inning and a half, Montreal 2, the Yankees nothing. Henrik, okay. That's how I always pronounced it, but it's Henrich if spelled. Anyway, here's Yogi. 277, 20 homers, and 91 RBI. Ground ball to first. Oliver, 1 out. Bill Lee is on this Expo team, by the way. Hank Bauer at 272, 10 homers, and 45 RBI. Base hit, right center. Dawson, that will go all the way to the wall. Bauer digging for 3, and he's in there with a triple. So the Yankees using this thing called a DH, and it immediately pays dividends as that got squeezed between Dawson and Cromartie, hit off that auxiliary scoreboard, not the padding that you'd be used to out there. Here's Bobby Brown, don't be cruel, 283, 6 homers, and 61 RBI. Bill Lee was great. Absolutely. I got to meet him, Greg. How you doing, Scotty? There is a ground ball to Spire. Bauer will sprint home. They'll take the sure out at first, and it's a 2-1 ball game. Because Bill Lee, funny you should ask, Paul. So he wrote a book. I got it somewhere behind me. And he did a book signing when Borders was a thing in downtown. got it autographed, and it was cool because my dad got to go with me for that. So the two of us was there, and Bill is still not a fan of Don Zimmer. The years have this was after the 2004 World Series. I think it was between 2004 and 2005. Bill did not soften on Don Zimmer for sure. Jerry Coleman at 275. Nobody on, by the way. 2 out here in the second. 2 homers for Coleman and 42 RBI. Good thing we didn't promote Mr. Microphone. We'd be banned for life. Hey, good looking. I'll be over in 5 minutes to get your mom's cookies. Here's the chopper to short. Spires got it. Over to Oliver, and Coleman is retired. Yankees get a run on a hit. They've left on 1. We go the third in game 1. Expos 2. Yankees 1. So Oliver, Carter, and Dawson to face Rashi here in the third. Al singled his first and scored on the Carter home run. Right center, Henrik. 1 out. For Gary Carter, who homered to the bleachers in right center his first time up. Opposite field, Rashi got him to swing or look at a 1-2 breaking ball for strike 3, so 2 out. So Rashi has fanned 4. Here's Dawson, who struck out. I think, didn't Bill do something to Savannah Bananas? I know up until maybe the pandemic or maybe a little after, he'd go out and pitch. He only threw 70 miles an hour on a good day anyway. Pitch to Dawson. There's a fly ball to right field. Henrik going back, and Tommy will corral that, and we're through 2.5. Expos go in order. Bottom 3, 2-1, Montreal. It is funny how we remember those old commercials. How you doing, Steve? Oh, he did pitch this year for an inning. Again, it's not like he's lost anything on his fastball. And Timmy Wallach, you think, is going deep. I went to the Big O once, the Big Ashtray. God, that was a horrible place. But it was fun to watch Wallach on a bunt be right there, because it's not something you necessarily would see on television, how much that they play in. Billy Johnson, by the way, 249, 8 homers and 56 RBI. Bill Lee is 70. I bet he's older than that. Popped up. Reins in, Spire out, makes the catch. Alexa, how old is the pitcher, Bill Lee? Alexa, how old is the pitcher, Bill Lee?
Bill Lee is 78 years old.
Thank you.
My pleasure. Just doing my job.
78. I don't know if you heard her say that. Everybody's device went off together when I asked that. Yep, 78. The Schooners 0 for 1. Opening 9 for Rogers. 24 pitches, 2 1/3, 2 hits. So, yeah, some golfers, once you get to a certain age, hope to shoot their age. His fastball is lower than his age. Bobby Shantz just did turn 100. I mean, he pitched in the 49 replay for the Philadelphia A's. It's the last living player who pitched in the 40s. When we did that, Andy, there were 12 or 13. And I believe we did it in 21. Saw the Bears do a flea flicker touchdown, and all I could think of was a handoff to the halfback lateral, the quarterback flea flick. Okay, yep. I'm not even going to go through that. Here's Rizzuto. Fly ball, shallow right. Ricky, if you're still with us, has your mom come down from the ledge when the Mets collapse? Ricky's mom is a Janet, wonderful woman, huge Mets fan. 2 out for Woodling, who doubled his first time up. There's a line grind ball to Oliver because I can read, and that will retire the side. So the Yankees go in order. We go the 4th in game 1, Expos 2. Yankees 1. So Greg predicting that Wallach will go deep. He struck out his first time up. Oh, Barb, I think, played something last night. She's doing the 86 Mets. I think in payoff pitch. No, and they are not doing most of the ones I've seen. Poor Phil Rea. Yeah. I'm not a big fan of the 86 Mets, Greg. Pitch to Wallach. Struck him at Rashi is fan 5. Here's Cromartie. Warren's 0 for 1. Here's a bounder over the mound. Rizzuto's got it over to Johnson. Cromartie is safe on the bang banger. Third hit for the Expos. Spire walked his first time up. So Todd, he posted last night. Phil was not doing all that well. You think Alonso will go to the Bronx, huh? Chance is the second oldest living Major League player. Bill Greason is 101. Scotty says it's the Mets and the Astros in the choke bowl. Scotty, are you going to be able to get down to Seattle for any of the Mariner playoff games? Scotty's a Dodger fan, but it's Seattle's first divisional title since 2001, right? That's a ground ball past Coleman into center field. So Cromartie on second, Spire on first, 1 out for Jerry White, who walked his first time up. I've never heard Scotty be spiteful for anything in his entire time I've known him. There's a ground ball to Rizzuto. Might be 2. Coleman for 1, but White's going to reach. And there's 2 out. Runners in the corners for Doug Flynn, who's 0 for 1. Rashi's thrown a lot of pitches up the middle. Rizzuto with a stab throws to first, and the Expos threaten but do not score. They leave on 2, and after 3.5, it's 2-1 Montreal. Let the hate flow through you, Todd. Let the hate flow through you. So for those of you who did not catch yesterday's broadcast, here's how the first series went. St. Louis beat the Dodgers in Game 1 in Los Angeles 5-3. The House of Tudor rose again. In Game 2, it was the Cardinal bullpen that choked it away as the Dodgers beat the Cardinals 5-4. And in yesterday's Game 3, my word, Ron Cey, the big hero, a 3-run homer in the bottom of the 8th, tapped a 6-run outburst, and the Dodgers moving on to play the winner of this series in the semis. Joe DiMaggio's 0 for 1 as we start the bottom of the 4th. Last time the Astros missed was 2016. Everyone thought that they were trying to tank, and why do you do this, and switching leagues, and blah, 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 blah. It worked for him, didn't it? Oh, you'll be at the Sounders-Portland game on Wednesday. There you go. Or Saturday. You a season ticket holder for them, Scotty? The Cleveland Ball Club would have made the playoffs anyway, right? They won the division. DiMaggio popped up. Wallach will make the catch, and Paul Simon writes a song about it. 1 out for Henrik. Tommy 0 for 1. Walked him. So 1 out walk. First for Rogers. Here's Yogi, who's 0 for 1. Charter member. Drew Carey still owns a chunk of that team, too, right? Pitch to Yogi. There's a bounder to third. Wallach. He'll go to Flynn for 1. Oliver for 2. So they go around the horn. We have played 4. No runs, no hits, no errors. It is the Expos 2, the Yankees 1. So third time through the lineup now. Rashi, 80 pitches, 4 innings. 4 hits, the home run to Carter. Only walked 2 and has struck out 5. Red Sox started a 33-year-old yesterday who was 0-9 in AAA, and he got the win. In baseball, a funny game. Jody never struck out more than 39 times in a year. James Wood did it 221 times this year. Old men will argue. For sure. Pitch to Raines. Into center, DiMaggio. 1 out for Oliver, 1 for 2. Now is a single and a run scored on the Carter home run. Struck him out. Rashi is fan 6. Here's Gary Carter. He homered in the first. There's a fly ball center field, and DiMaggio will run it down halfway home on a 64-degree day in Burlington. Expos 2, Yankees 1. No, they're in Worcester. If you joined us late, here's how we got here. 2 runs on the homer from Carter, 4 hits and no errors from Montreal. Game 1 of this best of 3 first-round series. The Yankees a run on 2 hits and no errors. Gary Carter, a 2-run homer to right center in the first, and then Bobby Brown, a fielder's choice in the second to make it 2-1. Steve Rogers, a 2-hitter through 4. 1 run, it was earned, and a walk. Vic Rashi, a 4-hitter through 5. 2 runs. The home run from Carter. He has walked 2 and surprisingly struck out 6. That's right, because the Mariners have the bye, so they got to do practices to keep fresh. So good for Seattle. Bauer, Brown, and Coleman here in the 5th. Hank tripled and scored the lone run in the 2nd. The Blue Jays were in Syracuse forever before moving to Buffalo. The Mets are there now. So, Greg, I got a question for you, or Sean, if you're still there. Why haven't the Blue Jays put a minor league team in Montreal? Pitch to Bauer. There's a fly ball to right. Cromartie going back, but Warren will track it down. 1 out for Bobby Brown, who had the sack or drove home the run in the 2nd. Yeah, because Cleveland was, when they built Pilot Park, now I forget what they call it now. Cleveland was a long-time occupant there. Pittsburgh was there for a while, too, when they were at War Memorial, right? I think people would watch. I think if you're going to make the argument that Major League Baseball should be in Montreal, go support a team, and if it's Canada's team, Toronto's AA team is in Manchester, okay? That whether it's AA or AAA, put a team in there. It doesn't necessarily have to be at the Big O, but go in there night after night and get used to seeing it. And if it would be an expansion team, you put them in the same division as Toronto. Pitch to Brown. There's a fly ball to right. Cromartie will make the grab, and there's 2 out for Coleman, who's 0 for 1. Cleveland and AAA affiliates in Maine, Portland, Colorado Springs, and Charlotte. Doesn't always make geographical sense. Could Buffalo support? How did the Jays do the couple years when they were in Buffalo? I'm not sure. They built that park for a potential expansion team. Montreal is a great sports town, Paul says. Like a lot of cities, they come out when the team is strong, Canadians being the exception. Well, that's the thing. You're going to play second fiddle to the Habs, no matter what. I mean, here's this sorry thing. From 1983 on, and they contended in 93 and might have won it all in 94, they never were in the top half in attendance in the National League. And no one goes except for when Portland plays there. Oh, to Toronto? I mean, to Manchester? Pitch to Coleman. There's a ground ball to Spire. Makes a great play over to Oliver, and Coleman is retired. So Spire with a great play. 2 out for... Well, that's it. After 5, no runs, no hits, no errors. Steve Rogers doing what he did when we did this replay back 7 years ago, keeping the teams at bay. Halfway, or through the 6th we go, 2-1 Montreal. Dawson, Wallach, and Cromartie to face Rashi here in the 6th. Andre 0 for 2 with a strikeout. We had Double-A ball in Burlington. You've heard me tell the story of Ken Griffey Jr. And Dawson draws the walk. The Reds, especially the 88 Reds team that won the World Series, was full of players that played here in Burlington. Glens Falls had the White Sox and then the Tigers. Albany had the A's and then the Yankees. You'd think it would be a good baseball market. Wallach is 0 for 2. He has struck out twice. I think Sean says that he went looking to see if there was a particular reason. I think that if they settled to put a minor league team in, that it would make him less attractive for an expansion team. I don't understand why Toronto just doesn't do it. What was their final record? I know that the 25 Rockies had more wins than the 24 White Sox. Pitch to Wallach. Dawson goes. Base hit, right center field. DiMaggio has it. Dawson around third. DiMaggio puts a little bit of mustard on that throw, but Dawson is in, and runners on the corners. Nobody out for Cromartie, who singled. In this one, he's 1 for 2. 43 and 119. Yeah, that would qualify. Yeah, we had Griffey Jr. for about a week. Edgar played here. Omar Vizquel played here. It would have been 88. Yep. Thing is, David Cathy is doing that with an all-time worst. Not necessarily. And the 62 Mets are surprisingly good. Pitch to Berra and Rashi have a word. Struck him out. 7 for Vic. The Springfield Rifle getting it in there. Here's Spire. He has singled and walked. 1 for 1. 2-1 Montreal. Ground ball to Johnson. And they will try for 2. They get Wallach at second. Rizzuto throws back to first. And that's how the Yankees get around the walks. That's a double play. And that will end the inning. How about that? Expos threaten but do not score. After 5.5, Montreal 2, New York 1. Sean wants to see the Blue Jays moved out of Toronto so you can cheer for them again. Sean. Here's Billy Johnson. Billy is 0 for 1. Rogers has only thrown 61 pitches through 5. Fly ball, right field. Cromartie will make the catch. Yeah, Toronto and the Blue Jays are married. Phil Rizzuto 0 for 2, opening 18 for Rogers, 63 pitches, 5 1/3, 2 hits, a walk, and no strikeouts. It's Rashi who's racked up 7. That is into center field. Dawson makes a sliding catch. How about that? Giants have fired the baseball Giants have fired Bob Melvin. There's a surprise. Black Monday today. Sorry if this was mentioned. Montreal might not want to be in my. Yeah, I think that's. Yeah, I mentioned that, Paul. But you got to be able to show that you can support a team when it's not shiny and new or necessarily good. Gene Woodling doubled. He's 1 for 2. Rogers walked him. So the tying run is on. 2 out for DiMaggio, who was 0 for 2. Game 2, Wednesday. We'll, after this one is over, reopen it up, and I'll tell you who the pitchers are going to be. Carter and Rogers have a word. Steve shakes his head and strikes out DiMaggio for the first of the game. How about that? Joe kicks the dirt. A 1-2 outside a fastball, and DiMaggio stood there like a steak shack on the side of the road. No runs, no hits, and no errors. We go to the 7th in Game 1. Montreal 2, New York 1. Yeah, I would think that Montreal would be a good market. The Blue Jays have real fans, while the Leafs... Oh, yeah. Greg, how about the Raptors? How does that do in Toronto? Jerry White, 0 for 1 with a walk. Rashi starts the 7th. Rashi is fan 8. He's done his job for sure. Doug Flynn is 0 for 2. Always sold out. When Sky Dome opened, Joe got to go home to Maryland. Not sorry. Thanks, Todd. There's a fly ball left field. Woodling will come in, all right, to Schwinn, make the catch for the out. 2 away for Range is 0 for 3 with a K. Rashi, 27 batters, 116 pitches, 6 2/3, 5 hits. The home run to Carter. He has walked 3 and struck out 8. The thing with when Rogers Place opened, or Sky Dome, was that it was so revolutionary. It really was kind of the continuation of them being the 8th wonder of the world. New Comiskey backfired, but when Camden Yards opened, Sky Dome just kind of fell out of favor in an awful big hurry. I remember Paul remembers going to a Habs game versus the Sabres and meeting some Leaf fans. They came to Montreal because it was impossible to get tickets in their home city. Sean can't believe Vancouver hasn't gotten a baseball team. Warmer weather out there. West Coast, also the Mariners right there with a rival. I would think Seattle probably is one of the big reasons why they don't. Plus that Vancouver didn't really do well with the NBA. Greg, were you 23 for the Raptors? Do I think Maryland called Joe DiMaggio Mr. Coffee in private moments? Non-dairy creamer, Paul. Sky Dome is fugly. Oh, yep. It's better than Big O. Lots of money in that town. The M's game versus Toronto, always over with fans coming down from Vancouver. Scotty, would Seattle allow that? Just the stirrer part there, Tim. Pitch to Raines. That is up the middle for a base hit as we get back on the baseball. Paul actually saw the Vancouver Grizzlies back in the day. Big country time for that team. Oliver, 1 for 3. Raines not a threat to steal in this situation. Vancouver did better than Atlanta, but they aren't moving that team. Fly ball, left center. DiMaggio and his swizzle stick make the catch. Stretch time 2-1. Expos. Todd already made the creamer joke. M's would like closer teams for travel. That would make sense. Would you like to get Gary Bettman on the phone then to talk about why Hamilton would be a perfect market between Buffalo and Toronto for the NHL? Anyway, Tommy Henrik is walked. He's 0 for 1. Rogers starts the 7th. Ground ball to Spire, who won't be able to make a play on it. It was one of those hard-hit balls. Spire kept it in front of him, and Henrik gets the infield hit. Just a third hit for the Yankees. Here's Yogi Berra. He's 0 for 2. Oh, when the Vancouver Grizzlies sold to an American owner, they've been a success, though, in Memphis. And I agree, Paul, Quebec City before Hamilton. But from a travel standpoint, you're never going to see a team in Hamilton just because the Leafs and the Sabres don't want it. That's what Greg said. Great minds think alike. Ground ball to first. Oliver, Spire for 1, and Bear is going to reach as the throw back to first is not in time. 1 out for Bauer. Hank 1 for 2. He tripled and scored in the second. 25 season was the first since 2005. Yeah, there was no no-hitter this year. I was surprised to see that, especially since what was the Major League batting average as a whole this year? I'm going to bid 244, Bob. To third, Wallach. Flynn for 1, and Bauer will reach. So 2 out. Should I make the joke that Rogers already owns Toronto? Doesn't quite own, and this Montreal Rogers seems to be owning New York. Here's Bobby Brown. He's 0 for 2. He had that RBI in the second. 246. Yeah, Quebec City. They built that. There's money up there. And I think, honestly, to get back to the Expos, because it would be, Quebecor? If they put an NHL expansion team up there, you pair it with an expansion Expos, and there's lots of money to go around. 250 is a new 300, and 246 is up from 242 last year. Greg's late mother knew Ted Rogers' sister. Speaking of Rogers, yeah, but you know Peter Mansbridge. That's way cooler. Pitch to Brown. There's a ground ball to first. Oliver's got it. He'll take it to the bag, and the Yankees are through 7. No runs, a hit, no errors. We go to the 8th in Game 1 on a chatty Monday. Montreal 2, Yankees 1. 184 hits led the league. Wow. Was this the first time since 67 that we had a league without a 300 hitter? Gary Carter 1 for 3. He homered in the first. Rashi appears strong. Right center. DiMaggio coming in. 1 out for Andre Dawson. Andre 0 for 2. He's walked and struck out. We had 7 300 hitters. Okay. Fly ball left center. DiMaggio on the run. 2 out. For Wallach. Last chance for Wallach to hit a home run. Trey Turner. Mr. Keeler and I love Trey Turner. Wallach 1 for 3. He struck out twice. Todd B is desperately trying to get me to read these Joe DiMaggio puns. Turner hit 304, okay? Joe had a percolator with Maryland, but he had a beef with Mickey Mantle. Pitch to Wallach. There's a fly ball, center field. DiMaggio coming in, no home run. Haven't needed it. Rashi has held the Expos to 6 hits. We go to the bottom of the 8th, 2-1 Montreal. So Coleman, Johnson, and Rizzuto to face Rogers here in the 8th. Jerry 0 for 2. Pitch from Steve, and Coleman draws the walk. So he is the tying run. Billy Johnson, I believe, is going to get pinch hit for. Let's see. Nope. Because unless Yogi can play first. Henrik can play first. Wow. Nope. Got to swing. Fly ball left field. Back goes Raines. That is well hit, but it's a big ballpark, and Timmy will track it down. And Coleman goes back to first. One out for the Scooter. Phil is 0 for 3. Wallach and Oliver guard the lines. Rogers has held the Yankees to 3 hits. For 27 batters, 94 pitches, 7 1/3. He's walked 3 and struck out 1. With you Wednesday for Game 2. That's a base hit right field. Cromartie will cut it off. First and second, 1 out. Rogers nowhere near his pitch count. Here's Woodling. Gene 1 for 2. He has doubled and walked. Guardians as a team hit 225. Oh, my word. The lowest ever for a playoff team, breaking the 1906 White Sox, who hit 230. Now, granted, there's a lot more teams in the playoffs, but as a team, he hit 225. Woodling. This might be 2. Spires got it. Flynn for 1. Woodling's going to reach. They get Rizzuto as their throw to first is late. So here's DiMaggio, tying run on third. Woodling the go-ahead run on first. Joe 0 for 3 with a K. And those hitless wonders, the White Sox won the World Series. That is true. Walked him. Jolton Joe had an espresso, and I'm going to pull Rogers. Try replicating that next year with any sim. Yeah, the 68 Cardinals. What was it? The games that Bob Gibson lost, his inner run average was still under 2. So they're loaded. Who are we going to go with? We're going to go with Jeff Reardon, who also will be on 2 different... No, he won't, because he wasn't with the Red Sox in '88. Well, let's see if this move backfires. Jeff Reardon, 26 years old. The Terminator, looking quite happy there with the Expo. Fastball at 92, fly ball plus pitcher. 7-4 with Montreal. A 2.06 ERA, 75 games, 26 saves, 109 innings, 87 hits, 6 home runs. He walked 36 and struck out 86. Henrik is 1 for 2 today with a walk. Woodling the go-ahead run on second, and DiMaggio an insurance run on first. He had 9 losses, Gibson did in '68, and they were shut out 3 times. Anyway, Henrik at the plate, Reardon on the mound. Sean crossing his fingers. Here's the pitch. There's a base hit left center. No! Dawson made a diving catch. I thought that was going to tail away. Dawson runs it down, and the Yankees get nothing. They leave him loaded. They left him loaded. How about that? A sinking line drive. Watch the chalkboard here. Those runners are going. That was going to score Woodling at least. And then Dawson with the sliding catch. Oh, my word, what a play. We go to the ninth. It's the Expos 2, the Yankees 1. I'm not sure, Tim, how much one-loss records go into that for Paul Skeens, having an ERA under 2. It'll be Cromartie, Spire, and White. My word. Andre Dawson just sitting in that that Expo dugout with a big old smile on his face. You'll have nothing like it, Spalding. Cromartie. There's a fly ball to right. Henrik going back. Tommy should be able to make the catch. He does. 1 out. For Chris Spire, 1 for 2 with a walk. There's a base hit, left center field. Yet DiMaggio won't be able to get there, and Spire's in with a double. For Jerry White, we're going to go with Joe Page. Yankees trying to hold this to a 1-run game. Joe Page, 13-8, all 60 times in the bullpen for the Yankees. The lefty had a 2.59 ERA. Todd unsubscribes. Okay, Gardner. 31 years old as Page, throws a hard fastball at 92, and is a fly ball pitcher. 135 and a third for Joe, 103 hits, 8 home runs. He walked 75 and struck out 99. White 0 for 2. He has walked and struck out. Stays in the game. Line shot to third. Bobby Brown is there. Inspire back to second. 2 away for Doug Flynn. Dougie 0 for 3. Yogi, Bauer, and Brown for the Yankees in the ninth. Hard ground ball to Rizzuto. He's got some leather of his own, and that will do. So the Expos are going to try to make Gary Carter's first inning home run stand up. It'll be Yogi, Bauer, and Brown to face Reardon here in the ninth. Yankees 1 to tie, 2 to win. Yogi is 0 for 3. Reardon deals. Fly ball right center. 1 out. Dawson made the catch. By the way, it has rained all the way through this. So that field is lush. Here's Bauer. Bauer with a triple, 1 for 3, and he scored the lone Yankee run in the second. Right back up the box, over to first, 2 out. So last chance saloon is Bobby Brown, who can hit. In fact, is the best option if you're a Yankee fan. So I should pinch hit Johnny Lindell for him, right? No. Yankees got turned away in Mr. Rogers' neighborhood. Yep. So Reardon trying to get out number 27. Not this time yet. That's a base hit right center field. Dawson to the wall. Won't be able to get there. And the tying run is in scoring position with 2 out for Coleman. Does Mapes have more power? I do have another second baseman, so we will pinch hit Charlie Silvera. 315, no homers and 13 RBI, but now a base hit ties the ballgame. Brown on second. Reardon trying again, get the 27th out. Last chance to win for the Yankees here in game one. Reardon, deep breath, back ground ball to first. Oliver can't make the play. Reardon just looks to the heavens, gets a couple raindrops on his eye. Runners on the corners for Billy Johnson, who does have power. Michael A. retired. Oh, Michael A. just kind of like a poor man's Jackie Bradley Jr. Well, here we go. Billy Johnson 0 for 3. Reardon again trying to slam the door. Third try here for Reardon. Johnson waves it back and forth. Runners on the corners. The winning run is Silvera. Right center. Dawson. Well hit. Ball game over. Expos hang on. Johnson had 8 homers and 329 at-bats. So, nope, Johnson, if I didn't pinch hit for him the last time, I would have pinch hit for him now. They don't have anybody who could play first. So, in 2 hours and 45 minutes, Andre Dawson and Steve Rogers, it was a team effort. Here's the reason why this Expo team won my World Series. 2 runs, 7 hits in there for Montreal. The Yankees a run on 5 hits and no errors. Montreal left on 7. The Yankees left on 8. Rogers 7 2/3, 4 hits. The 1 run coming off the Bauer triple in the second. There wasn't a run in this game after the second inning. He walked 4 and struck out 1. Jeff Reardon, 4 tough outs. It took him 6 batters to do it, to pick up the save. Vic Raschi, 8 1/3, 7 hits, 2 runs, both earned. A home run from Carter. He walked 3 and struck out 8 with minus stuff and still held the Expos to 2 runs. Joe Page had plus stuff. He went 2/3 of an inning to keep it a 1-run game. So let's take a look at who our pitchers will be for Game 2 on Wednesday. And by the way, Montreal is the worst of the 8 teams. It will be, come on, you got it. Oh, man. Lopat? Do you go with Lopat here? I mean, the Yankees are at a big disadvantage because, I mean, they went with the Rays, and Raschi, I thought, pitched well. You go with Lopat or Allie Reynolds? You're more than welcome. So while you're thinking of that, the Expos will go with Scott Sanderson, who's doing his best Dave Steve impression in Game 2. So Sanderson for the Expos, and I want to say Eddie Lopat. You're not really turning anybody around. You don't want Tommy Byrne. Look at that. He walked 8.2 per 9. Oh, my goodness. How many lefties in the Montreal lineup? Oliver and Cromartie. And they're going to have to play regardless. There's only 2. Raines is a switchy. Jerry White, DH, is a switchy. It's not like Montreal set the world on fire in this game offensively. One big swat. Yeah, low pat. Okay. Yeah, so I guess. Yeah, I think you got to go with low pat to try to save it. And although Sean Rogers is just so tough. I mean, he single hand, kind of like Tudor in '85. He got them to the World Series and won it for them. Absolutely. Was that Emily? Yes. Emily says it's time to let me in. So on that note, we'll see you Wednesday. So Eddie Lopat versus Scott Sanderson. And yep, you see Bill Lee there hanging out in the bullpen, putting some fun stuff on his pancakes. So there you go. We will see you Wednesday for Game 2 in Montreal. And so thank you all so much. I'm Ron Juckett. We will talk to you the next time. Bonsoir, mon ami.